What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy YBC Sean coming back at you again with a video update on my 84 Monte Carlo. I got a few things that I did and had done on the last video. Last couple of videos I've been telling you that I just wasn't getting no power when I turned the key. It was firing up straight at first. But then all of a sudden, I just started losing, when I replaced the alternator. And the situation was at first, the particular person that did this build didn't hook my alternator up right. So this wire right here, which is, some people call it the jumper wire, it wasn't connected to the back of my alternator. So when he put the alternator on here, it pretty much, I think, was burning the alternator out because everything else was hooked up the way it was supposed to, with the positive going to the positive battery cable and all the other wires running to the inside. So the wire was tucked down in here. So I was like, what the hell? What's this wire tucked down here for? So, because I ain't even no real mechanic or nothing like that. I be learning as I go along myself. So, with some further research and some advice from a friend of mine who has an 84 Monte Carlo also, he told me about the jumper wire. So I hooked it up where I had to go replace the alternator. And the one that I got when I replaced it, it was a bum one. So I took that one back and got another one. And when I put it on and hooked everything up right with the jumper wire and all that, when I went to the inside, try to start it, it wasn't starting. I was only getting power to the dash. As you can see, I took my dash out because my gauges wasn't working, and found out why my speedometer wasn't working, because the new cable was still ran through the firewall, just sitting right there, and it wasn't hooked up. So I took that off, ended up breaking my gauges. Ended up breaking my gauges. There's the tachometer right there. And my speedometer, this car was so old, and the gauges were so, so brittle, I ended up breaking the needle on my speedometer. So I took all of that out, and there that is right there. So I decided to go ahead and buy me an Intellitronics digital dash. I ordered it. I'll do another video once I get that. I'll try to hook a little bit up myself as much as I can. So the parasitic draw, it was taking my battery, like what I thought was a parasitic draw, because my alternator wasn't charging the battery. And when I thought it was, once I cranked the car, it'll run, I could drive it, but when I cut it off, it would be completely dead. It wasn't clicking, it would do nothing. So once I put this new alternator on, I learned a lot. Learned that, the person who did my build had a couple of things wired up wrong. So when I wired that up right, I would go to crank up, and it wouldn't crank. I had replaced the battery and the alternator now. It wouldn't crank up. It was just getting power to the dash, but the starter wasn't clicking. It wasn't doing anything. So I had a guy to come look at it a couple of days ago, and the explanation that I got. I'm gonna give it to you the best as I can. Get a light on here. Okay. That blue wire was in the wrong place. Yeah, it was in the wrong place. I can't even remember where it was before. But he switched that around, did a couple of things, and I'm gonna show you in a minute what happened once he switched it around. But I also did a video about these right here, some H4 headlights. I wanted to get some more headlights. The old ones were real foggy, just looked real plain. So I wanted to get these right here. These are Lumens H4 projector lights with the LED halo. So I learned a lot about those when I put those in. And if anybody out here with a Monte Carlo or in the old school, they got these lights right here and they ain't working right, because what was going on, the regular way, the factory way that the Monte Carlo set up, the wires are set up different behind here with these 3 wires right here on the back of your thing. So what I did was I did some research and found out that you got to switch these wires around right here on the back of your connector. You put the black on the left, the green on the right, and the brown up top. That way you switching your negative, your positive, and your high, where your high beam is, because it's set up kind of different initially. I switched those differently and put them on the right way, because what was going on when I turned the regular lights on, this bulb would come on too, and it would be kind of dim, and I didn't have my high beams on. And then when I turned the high beams on, these would go to dim. They wasn't like, you know, doing what the high beam's supposed to do. So what I did was I switched that around, and the same for the high beam, you know, black on the left, green on the right. And when I switched that around, it changed. I could cut my headlights on and it not be, you know, dim or on when I don't turn on the high beam. And I also learned I had to wire the LEDs, the halos, up to an alternate power source. Well, to its own independent power source, excuse me. And what I did was with that, twisted up the 2 power wires from the outside light bulb and the power and the negative, and I ran one red, excuse me, one red and one black long wire, connected it, and ran it all the way down through the bottom. And what I'm gonna do with the high beams are, the white wire, I'm gonna connect to the positive. I'm gonna tap that into the positive and tap the black into the negative and run it on over here. What I got it on there now is I'm testing it, because I was trying to make sure everything works before I seal the deal on this side right here. So what I did was, from that red wire, I'm gonna use a self-tapping splicing connector, put it on the end, tap it into the wire right here, and connect it up here. Tie that positive wire into there. And I got another, that ground wire running up. It's gonna be here. Put some screw here. I was doing a test, so right now I got it kind of held up and on up against the body just to test it to see what it does. I ran the red wire from the outside headlight also, and ran it into the inside, and I hooked it up. I did a little messing up at first. I hooked it to the battery, on the fuse box. I hooked it up to the battery port, and what was happening, I was getting continuous power to the LED without the key being turned. So I definitely wasn't trying to do that. So what I had to do was go under there and find the ignition, hook it up to an ignition port. So when I turn the key, it'll come on as a daytime running light with the other one. So to test it, I tied it in. Well, laid the wire on top of that, and I got everything grounded from headlight to headlight. Everything's grounded and got a power source. So I'm gonna see if they come on when I turn the key. Right now the key turned back, so they not on. And since I got the problem fixed, I've been testing it, make sure the wiring is correct, to see if my battery will keep its power and I can crank it. So far it ain't failed me. I'm gonna crank it up and see what the lights do. And see if the problem is solved with what I thought was a parasitic draw, but it wasn't. Fire straight up. Running strong. Didn't have to jump it off. And the halo lights on. When I turned the key, came on. Yep. Came on, both of them on. So it is wired up right. You got it hooked up to the right fuse port. So when they get power, it'll only be on. I'll turn the key. Looks good too. I'm waiting on my connectors to come from Amazon. I'm gonna hook those lights right here up. So when I turn the key, all four lights, I got a little light in the background, so it's gonna glow blue. All of them be on. Make that look kind of cool though. I don't look bad though. So it looked like the problem was solved with whatever wire that he switched around. It did what it was supposed to do, because I think I had the work done Saturday. It took him about 30 minutes to figure it out. And he came and did it, I think, Sunday. Today is Thursday. I've been able to come out here every day and just fire it up with no problem since Sunday. Sounds good. 2 years after I bought it. I ain't do nothing to it. But I spent a lot of money into this car already. Got a lot more to spend, as you can see. Got the digital dash coming. It's gonna have the blue LED lights in it. It's a brand new B&L ratchet shifter. Got to get a console rebuilt, custom. Billet steering wheel, chrome back, all bought brand new. New gauges. Probably end up doing away with them. I have me some gauges, some extra gauges. Did the back brakes. New hardware, all the spring, new wheel cylinder, new drum, front brakes, new rotor, new brakes, new brake hoses, brake hoses under there, they new. Caliber over there new. I'm gonna put a brand new caliber over here. New door, window switches, driver and passenger side. Get some new lock switches. Gotta order that weather stripping. Redo that. Everything that I could do on here myself, I'm gonna do it myself. $84 Monte Carlo. Running like a champ. Still got a lot more to do. I'm gonna keep this in there for a minute, run it for a while, probably swap it out with something else. Got a lot more to do under that though, performance wise. And suspension wise, gotta get rid of that. Get some new tubular suspension in there. Yeah. Life was good though. It was even better in person. In case you're wondering what the motor is on there, it's a brand new rebuilt. Was rebuilt. 305 high output, bigger spring, high performance cam. The intake brand new. Operator, everything on here brand new. Probably except, the header. That serpentine setup. Put that on now. Got the electric fans. They on. Electric fuel pump. See that the torch starter. Some people might think it's slow, but it'll move. I think I drove the car one time on the road so far. When I drove it here, did good though. So when I get that dash, I'm gonna do another video, update y'all. I mean, if anybody want to know how to do it or start the process of doing it or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you'll be able to do it. For the 84 Monte Carlo, just if anybody wondering already, when you're looking at this video for this cluster diagram, I went on MalibuRacing.com and got the diagram for the fuse box down there and this wiring harness. And it's real accurate. So yeah. But alright, YouTube, get at me.